So, in our discussion about the months, again, if you look up the dictionary meaning of a certain word, you do yourself an injustice. We just got done with February. February is Nemebinegizis. So people look up the word February and they see the word Nemebinegizis. Well, what does that mean? Suckerfish moon. Oh, and they're happy with that. Oh, I now know what February means. But you do yourself again an injustice if you don't understand the meaning of why it's called that. There are stories and explanations for a lot of the things that occur. Suckerfish moon is such that the names of the months are named after significant events that occurred, that consistently occur over a period of a year cycle. So that the Anishinaabe months, there's 13 of them. And dominant culture just gets upset with that. Why is that? There's only 12. That ain't going to help you here. Because what is so upsetting is that when you try to convey English or Ojibwe concepts into these English boxes that you created. So I said, get your English thinking out of here and work with Anishinaabe thinking. Because it's unique, it's different, it's a unique way of looking at the world, a unique way of looking at life, and a unique way of looking at what we value and how we create values. And so that is the single hardest thing for students to do, is try not to think in English. So even speakers are accused of speaking what is called English Ojibwe. In English, we would say wisene enene. Excuse me, in Ojibwe, we would say wisene enene. So if you were to literally translate it, well, the phrase translates to the man is eating. But if you literally translate it, what you're saying is he is eating the man. And students get upset with that. Because I said, here, there you go again. You are using your English mind to try to explain Ojibwe. And that's why you're going to get in trouble. So Nemebinegizis is the suckerfish moon. And the little story that we have with that is that apparently in the month of January, the Anishinaabe people, our society was such that we lived in the woods, and we would typically survive a harsh winter. And even that winter, the description of that, let me get back to that in a bit. We survived this harsh winter, and the people were starving. People were dying, and the creators observed this. And February was a very harsh month. Food was scarce, and the people that were dying had a hard time going out and acquiring. Those ones that were healthy even had a hard time acquiring food so they could feed the people. Well, the Creator saw this, and he came and asked the animal kingdom, who amongst you will help my people? They're dying, they're starving. So the term he would use is, who amongst you will help the grandkids? And that's how the spirits always refer to us as grandchildren. Who will help my grandchildren? After a lot of discussion, the sucker fish came forward. He says, I will help. I will give myself up so that the grandchildren will survive. Instruct them that in the month of February, from here on in and forever, my fish, the fish and I, will gravitate towards open water, rapids, and we will give ourselves up. So the Anishinaabe heard of this, were instructed to do this, and they went to the nearest rapids they could find, and sure enough, there was fish all over the place, enough for them to harvest, to eat, and they survived. Well, what's interesting about that is that I was aware of this situation, and a local elder here I always like to play dumb. Local elder here, anindash wenji ejina kadega nongum ejina kazu nongum gizis webinagewe giz namebinagizis. I wonder why they call it the sucker moon this month. And just trying to elicit some comments from Miku show o pi ogija weniman anishinaabe na al namebin. Well, that's when the sucker fish took pity upon the Anishinaabe people. Oh, so he had that cultural knowledge too. He describes to me that, he says, you know, the month of February is when my grandpa would always take me out on a lake. And there's a certain place where apparently somewhere, somehow, I don't know if it's a turnover, but the lake, something happens with the lake so that the oxygen level is highest concentration near the top of the ice, and they become air holes, air pockets. And so the fish, the sucker, gravitate towards that so that they can breathe. And that's how the Anishinaabe know that, and they harvest them that way. So that's the biological explanation of the spiritual knowledge that we know as long time ago. Most people say, oh no, that's just the lake overturning and turning over and the oxygen level creating a situation where they gravitate towards that. Well, if that's what you want to believe, that's true. You know, that certainly is accurate in that that's the biological explanation. But we as humans want to know about the spiritual aspect of that. And so Anishinaabe have spiritual explanations for everything. So another one, Webinage Gizis, the same name for February. And I always remember that what we would do in the month of February is Webinage means to throw it away. What is it you're throwing away? Well, getting back to the story about how the Anishinaabe people were starving and dying, there was a lot of sickness with the people. So February was particularly harsh because of the sickness that was there. So again, we were instructed and told that the way that we can do this is to physically create a bundle of tobacco with a tobacco tie on there, tied to a stick, and through ceremony and voices and talking about it, you are projecting your sickness into that branch, into that little twig and that tobacco. And that through ceremony, what you're going to do is you're going to ask the Creator to take all of this sickness away from you. So what happens is that we take that little bundle of tobacco, the little stick, and wait for a full moon in February, and we go out on the ice, and you run as far as you can, not as far as you can, as fast as you can. You pause, and just before you throw away that little piece of stick, you say, Niwe Binan, Nindakuzi Wen. I'm throwing away my sickness. And you throw it away, and so in a spiritual sense, then your physical body will start to begin to heal itself because you've asked for that spiritual healing. So once you have spiritual healing, then your physical body kind of follows in that way. So then that's the name for February, Webinage Gizis.